Hi everyone, I'm ATP, and today I'm trying something a bit different. I'm going to be doing a Solo Grandmaster Scarlet Keep commentary. So I'm watching a run that I completed previously, and we're just going to be going over what I'm thinking, why I'm doing specific things, so on and so forth. I've actually been asked to do this a few times, and I figured that this is a pretty good GM to do it with, and I thought that this run went very well, that it's going to be a good one. So, a few things to note. I'm using Arbalest, Nation of Beasts, and Tarantula, and I'm using those because it is Arcburn on this, and Arbalest is insane for the anti-barriers. So initially, I'm actually going to do this neat little skip. So I'm just going to be climbing up these rocks, and then you're able to actually skip this entire section, and it actually prevents that long hallway with those wizards, prevents all of those enemies from spawning in. I'd recommend doing it in a team as well, because it just speeds it up. Now, you don't have to kill this champion for platinum, but I choose to because I'm actually going to prevent a champion in about 5 minutes from spawning in. And I wasn't sure whether or not you would still get platinum if you didn't let the one spawn in and skip that one. So I decided it would be safe. It would be better safe than sorry. Now, I always prefer to do the left tower first. It's just habit. And I always invis and then deal with the enemies from up here. You'll notice that I actually skipped the champion, and that's actually the despawn that I was referring to. Basically, if you kill the wizard, grab the orb, and then progress forward, normally you would get a champion to spawn. But because the champion is already on the field, because they spawn in initially and then they spawn it again, the game views it as if the champion is already alive and does not spawn him in again. So that means that you only have to deal with one barrier knight on the left side rather than two. Now, I find that this left tower is extremely safe. It lets you deal with everything. You've got a height advantage. Very, very few enemies will ever kill you up here. I think I've maybe died once in 20 Grandmasters, both this season and in Season of the Hunt, other than solo attempts. Now, I'm using Arbalest because Arbalest is the best anti-barrier weapon in the game, so much so that I think it will be nerfed. I don't know how they'll nerf it. I think they might make it require 2 shots to break a barrier shield, or they will remove its ability to grant itself disruption break. Now, you noticed earlier that I was actually invis diving on the acolytes, and that's to make them finishable here, and that just makes it a lot easier to kill them after I slam. So when you slam an orb, all the enemies on that side, so all those acolytes, are then actually going to push towards the bridge, which, as you can see, they were doing, and I killed them. Now, the right side here has 4 acolytes and a barrier. 1 box breathing tarantula shot makes the barrier flex. And I'm going to do a finish on a barrier knight because I'm running loosened finisher. Now, the right side tower, you can do the same despawn, but it's a lot more difficult because you need to somehow get up there without killing the barrier, which you'd need to invis pass, go all the way through the temple, turn around, jump up to kill the wizard, and at that point you're better off just killing the knight. Now, Even though like I'm breaking shields with Arbalest, you'll notice that I frequently choose to shoot them with my Tarantula. And I mean here I'm not. But the reason why is because I am able to get a lot of Tarantula ammo based on finishing champions, whereas Arbalest, it's RNG whether or not I'm going to get the ammo or not. So there I thought that all the acolytes were dead, but I was wrong. Have the ball, and again, you want to go on top of the tower. Being on top of the tower is the best place to be to kill any of the champions in this opening section. Champion's dead, and we're going to smoke on them to weaken them a little bit, and then go deposit our orb. Now once you grab that second orb, you're going to get Curse Thrall. I think it's either 8 or 10. I honestly don't remember anymore. But these guys teleport a lot. I've noticed that a lot of enemies this season have been teleporting quite frequently. And actually, this run that you're watching was, I think it was my 3rd or 4th attempt. My very first attempt I wiped at the very end of the boss fight because a Curse Thrall teleported. If you follow me on Twitter, you might have seen an edit of the clip. I mean, it's a pretty funny clip, but yeah. So there you might have seen that I was constantly looking behind me. It's because I didn't want a Curse Thrall to sneak up on me. So here, I throw a grenade to try to kill all the Thrall. I stun the Ogre, and then I tether. Now, obviously my tether wasn't going to hit the Ogre there, but I still stunned the Ogre because I didn't want him to be shooting the absolute crap out of me while I'm in my super. My goal with the tether was to actually kill as many of the Acolytes and Thrall as possible, which I got the job done that I wanted to. Now, this Ogre, and every unstoppable Ogre in the game, has a limit that it can actually shoot you. The Ogre is very clearly aware of where I am, but he will not shoot me because I'm out of his range. And that lets you very easily kill any Ogre. Here I'm just using Arbalest to pick off a few of the Acolytes. You can tell that not a lot of these Acolytes are Sniper Acolytes based on their purple gun, but there are, I think it's 2 snipers up on that top ledge, which should be your priority. When I was doing this, I noticed that none of them were peeking me, which is why I was choosing to kill the purple weapon Acolytes over it, but I would highly suggest you prioritize any of the snipers first. Sorry, you can tell which ones are snipers and which ones aren't based on the glow of their weapon. Like, yeah, they're both purple, but one is a very obvious glow and one's kind of a more subtle kind of horizontal glow, and the horizontal glow is the sniper. Now once you get a little bit closer there, you're going to get some Acolytes and 2 Wizards to spawn. The Wizards are definitely the most dangerous, especially with acute arc burn on, as those Wizards are dealing 50% extra damage. So I proceed to miss every single Arbalest shot, then manage to somehow kill the Wizard, and then while the other Wizard is not peeking, I decided, oh, I could use this time to pick off some of the other enemies. Now there, I hear and I see that the Wizard's peeked, so then I stop worrying about the Acolytes, go back to the Wizard, and the Wizard's back to hiding, so I'm going to pick off as many Acolytes until the Wizard shows herself again. There she is. And dead. And this is pretty much just taking it slow, just killing all the Acolytes first. The Acolytes aren't that threatening with their Void Weapon, and if you're about to die, I like to just dodge, assuming you're doing this on a Hunter. And once you get close enough, I believe it's 11 Acolytes and a Barrier Knight up here. I could be wrong, but that number just seems right. Barrier Knight is so easy to kill with Arbalest. it's way too strong. And then at this point I'm just picking off all of the acolytes that will have the ability to shoot at me when I'm killing the Shrieker, because the Shrieker right now is my biggest priority. So there I get a nice little collat. And now I shoot the Shrieker to open him up, because from this range he's not going to open by himself without a manual trigger. So I shoot it, pull out my Tarantula, shoot him a bunch, dodge, shoot him a bunch again. Now here, I'm scoping in with my Arbalest there to make sure that none of the snipers can see me, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to skip all of these enemies because I don't want to waste the time or the ammo to kill them. So for anyone wondering, I'm using 6 Coyote because I find it just to be the best. Now here there's a Barrier Knight to the left. Barrier Knight for me, if I remember correctly, decides to just kill himself. But again, if you've got Arbalest, he's really not a concern at all. Yeah, so there you see the Barrier Knight just decided to end it all. I can't say I blame him. If I was going up against someone with an Arbalest as a barrier champion, I probably would just take the easy way out. Alright. And last acolyte. Now, here we are at the altars. Now, the moment you step on this first plate, you're going to get 8 acolytes, 4 left, 4 right, and a wizard. The wizard is the biggest priority. Again, arc damage. Anything that deals arc damage should take your priority. As you can see, I actually get hit from a solar grenade, so I have to back up. Kill the wizard here. Perfect. Now, once the wizard's dead, I highly suggest you kill the acolytes first. So that's what I'm doing right now. I can tell that my thought process here is just, okay, let's get as many of these acolytes out of the way as I can. I'm getting shot, so I instantly dodge, and that's just a thing that I do. When I get shot from a direction that I am not facing, I dodge. Alright, again there, I'm getting shot from a direction that I'm not facing, so I'm going to dodge. And now I know that that is going to be the last acolyte. You can tell I'm looking over to the left because I'm like, was that the last one? Because I knew here that I'd kill all the ones on the right, but I wasn't sure about left. And then once you beat the first plate, which is the middle one, you get a Barrier Knight and some Sniper Acolytes and some Thrall. The Sniper Acolytes and the Barrier Knight are obviously the most deadly, which is why I prioritize those with my super. And then I just use my hand cannon to deal with Thrall. Now, Thrall take 3 melees to kill you, at least with the setup that I'm running. Now I'm going to head to the left here, and I spawn in the wizard. And I use Arbalest and Tarantula to kill it. I fail here, obviously. The wizard goes hiding, so I'm going to use my Tarantula. Now the side plates are definitely a lot easier than the middle plate, and that's just because once you step on it, the adds that you get are significantly reduced. You get 4 acolytes, that's 2 left, 2 right, and then the Barrier Knight. And so I always prioritize the acolytes first, because I don't want them shooting at me while I'm trying to kill a Barrier Knight. Although here you can tell that I was going to try to kill the Knight before I killed the 4th acolyte. I'm not sure if that was me just miscounting and thinking that I'd killed all 4, or really what was going on in my brain there. And now the right side is the exact same thing. And I just, out of habit, I always like going middle, left, right. It's just always how I've done the strike. Perfect. And now this one is the exact same thing. 4 acolytes, 2 left, 2 right. So that's all the acolytes did, and now I'm going to shoot the barrier. So you'll notice that I always start shooting a barrier with a box-breathing tarantula, I just keep changing the pronunciation, first before I do anything else. The reason why I do that is because a box-breathing tarantula with major spec and arc burn is enough to instantly make it flex. That means that there is no time that it will be able to shoot me. And you'll notice I use the exact same technique in the Lightblade solo. So we're finishing that room with 20 Arbalist and 19 Tarantula, and we're just hitting the 16-minute mark in a couple seconds. Just now. So here I know that there's 4 acolytes and 2 snipers with the barrier champion. So I always go right side first to kill 2 of the 4 acolytes. And then when a champion has appeared, you're going to get a sniper that always moves that direction. The other one, sometimes he jumps where I was looking there, sometimes he's by the knight. When he doesn't jump to where I was originally looking, I always look to the knight. And you want to kill those quickly because they will one-shot you. So again, box-breathing tarantula. So there, I go up because I think that he should be finishable. And then somehow that does not break his shield, which frustrates me. And I think that I'm about to wipe. But we tried again. Box-breathing tarantula, RB, 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 RB. And we get the finish. Now, don't do what I do here and try to stay up here, because you'll notice that I actually saw the sniper and dodged the moment that it fired. And I was really lucky that the sniper missed me, because I could have ended very poorly. So again, Acolyte snipers are the priority. You can tell, again, you can see kind of their horizontal purple line compared to the big one. So all 3 of those that I just killed were snipers. This barrier knight's a pretty easy kill. Although my tarantula was not reloaded, so he almost makes it away. But I see that he jumps down into the middle, which means that I can easily kill him here. There, I swapped to my hand cannon because I don't want to waste that last shot. And we got a nice Nox Cordis too. So here I decided to use my tether just to try to kill as many acolytes as possible. I just blindly fire it. If anything that I kill is a win, because I'm not going to use my tether for anything else, except for maybe one of the barrier knights by the elevator, but it's fine. Now here, I noticed that I only have 1 Arbalist shot, and that there's barrier up ahead, and that I probably shouldn't risk using that Arbalist shot and hope that I get an ammo brick. So I purposefully was using my tarantula to shoot enemies, And then we've got a Shrieker. Again, the way that I work with Shriekers is I will shoot them, dodge, shoot them. Because dodging usually messes up the tracking. So I see a green brick here, which makes me happy. Oh, there's another one. And now I no longer have to kill this barrier off of one purposeless shot. So I decided to just kill him outright because that Acolyte was there. Normally, if that Acolyte wasn't there, I totally would have finished him, but it actually doesn't matter because he did end up dropping a brick for me anyway. Here, I throw the grenade to try to kill as many of the Acolytes as possible. I don't get any of them, but I do manage to weaken a couple of them. That's 3 out of 4 done. I can't find the 4th. But I know he's alive, so what I do is I actually stun that 4th barrier, and then I try to find the Acolyte. I realize where he is, and by that time, the barrier still hasn't done his 2nd shield. We're able to do that, and then get a nice finish for Heavy in. Now, a lot of people do this elevator cheese, which I think is completely ridiculous. If you just go behind this left pillar, at least for this first floor, you won't get shot. Maybe you'll get shot by one Acolyte, which you can kill. And then there's another safe pillar for the 2nd floor and another for the 3rd, so it's a bit ridiculous. You can see I'm not invis, I'm not emo glitching, I kill one Acolyte, Grandmaster alone. The elevator ride is so free. I think people think that it's a 360 spawn, but it's not. I think this is probably the hardest part of the strike. It's this room with the barrier knights. There's 8 Acolytes, 4 on each side, which is typically a trend in strikes, is that they'll just keep reusing the same number of enemies. I believe that's the 6th one dead. And now I'm not seeing any more Acolytes, so I try to go in, and I notice that this barrier is in a very good position. So I commit for the kill on him, and I actually swap back to a Tarantula. I think it's just to kind of preserve Arbalest ammo, which is a bit weird because you can see a special brick on the ground there. And there's the 8th Acolyte. So at that point I know that the only enemies in the room should be the Wizard and the 2nd Barrier Knight. Now I'd like to finish this Barrier Knight for ammo. So what I do is I break the Wizard's shield and I kill it with my tether. And I do that because I know that way this Barrier Knight will be a very easy finish, and then I end up killing him by accident anyway. Which is really unfortunate because now I'm pretty short. I'm over half, but in relative terms, I'm actually short on heavy. Now, for the second line, or for the 2nd elevator, it's the right side pillar. As you can see, that's where I'm standing. Now, those 2 doors that I was looking at there, on the left, you can get shot from them. I decided to just go invis rather than shooting it, but both work just fine. Now, there's no more barriers in the strike, but there are still 3 more unstoppables, and one of them is right here. So I threw the grenade there thinking the unstoppable was going to spawn there, because that's where he spawned on all the previous runs that I had done. Like this season, previous season with teams. and my objective was actually to try to kill it in one bang, but he did not spawn at my grenade, so I couldn't really afford the luxury to. Now here, I really want to finish this unstop, but it's too risky for me with all these acolytes up, so I do decide to just take the L on the ammo and just hope that we get some later on in the strike. And it turns out that he actually dropped me a finder brick, which pretty useless, but it's still better than nothing. At this point, it's pretty tough because it puts you in the middle between a bunch of acolytes and wizards. And when you're the only one, both enemies from both sides are shooting at you, which is why you'll notice that I'm constantly just changing which side I look to. That's because I don't want to get shot from behind, but I know that all the enemies on left and right aren't dead, which means that I could be getting shot from either direction at any given time. So there, I invis to check the left one, and I don't see any acolytes, so I'm like, okay, I think I can go to the right one here. And I also don't see any acolytes, but then when I shoot the wizard, one appears. And because of the cute arc burn, I'm really scared of the wizard's attack. I don't want to die 26 minutes into a strike this close to the boss fight without actually making it to the boss fight. Alright, first wizard's down. And now I'm using my perfect aim subscription very well, as you can see, giving the wizard a ton of warning shots. Last acolyte's just coming up at me now. He's dead, and I think that's it for the acolytes. And now this wizard is being weird. So I noticed the wizard's back there, so I threw the grenade to try to get her to leave, which did end up happening, but I wasted my grenade, as well as a lot more Arbalest. So I go for the finish because I really don't want to waste 2 Arbalest shots when I only have 3, or 1 and a heavy brick when I only have 8 heavy. So because I missed 2 finisher champions, I'm pretty concerned about my heavy ammo economy, but I got really lucky because I guess the wizard had dropped me a brick. Now for the last elevator ride, the middle platform, or the middle pillar, is the safe one. I think I probably decided to just invis this one up anyway to be safe. Alright, once we get up to the boss fight, I should have shot the other wizard first. I'm not sure why I decided to choose the rightmost one. But anyways, at this point you really just want to kill the wizards by any means necessary. If you have a solar heavy, it would be, or a solar secondary, would be really good instead of an arc one, because that way you don't have to waste Arbalest ammo. But I wasn't thinking ahead. Now there, I considered going for the finish. I really did. But I decided not to because I wanted to make sure that I was fully prepared for when the boss spawned.
Here she comes.
Now, if you don't know the boss spawns for this, make sure you do join the Discord, because I do actually show and list the boss spawns for every GM each season. But the first wave is at 90%, which is 4 Thrall and 2 Boomer Knights. Sorry, not Acolytes. It's 4 Thrall, 2 Boomer Knights. And there I was trying to kill the first Boomer Knight, but I failed. And so now I'm just invis crutching. I noticed that the boss is shooting middle, so I decide to go to this pillar where the knight is not looking to get an easy kill on the knight. And the moment the knight dies, I go back invis to not allow any of those enemies to shoot at me. Now I really wanted to get an angle on this knight, and I'm able to, but he's just moving at such a weird position, and none of these are counting as headshots. Now the moment I saw those thrall appear, I dodged. And that knight that was finishable is no longer finishable. So now these 4 thrall are following me, so I really want to just kill them. So I get this grenade, I go to throw it, and they all teleport away the moment that I threw the grenade. Just really unlucky. And then they spawn behind me. And so now I'm kind of in a really bad rotation because these thrall that I was about to kill get into a really bad rotation. I try to make a commitment on the knight, which was a really bad decision because the boss was looking at there, whereas the boss wasn't occupied by my previous position in a different place. There, again, I shoot the thrall, and then they teleport again, and I got really lucky that Fire Pit's on and not Empath, because that thrall could have killed me if Empath was on, because it hit me twice with a melee. Here, I'm still trying to get this knight dead. At this point, the knight's basically regained all of its health, and by the time that I'm there, I'm like, you know what, no, and I decide to go for a finish. And that's the last thrall dead, so that's 2 Boomer Knights and 4 thrall. It was a lot more effort than it should have been just due to blatant teleports and stuff, but we got it done. Now, it's the same thing over again, but now we're going to weaken the boss to 80%, and now it's 4 Acolytes and 2 Arc Melee Knights. Now, I completely waste my grenade there. I thought that there was another Acolyte there. I'm doing the same thing I did on the first round, where I'm using this pillar to kind of block the boss's ability to see me, to try to kill as many enemies as possible. Now obviously these Arc Melee Knights are a lot easier to manage than 2 Boomer Knights because they don't shoot at you, but they will one-shot melee you. And here, because they have to run towards you, they frequently will get lined up in really good positions, and everything's dead. Much easier and much smoother round than the first one. At this point, it's just getting the boss to 70% health so that she spawns us the 2 wizards and goes immune. There I got hit by the green attack, so I shatter dived because I wasn't sure if that velocity was going to kill me when I hit the wall, and I knew that I had to dodge to get my smoke right back. And then there, again, I get hit, and that's just a result of me playing very aggressive. I get the kill on the right wizard, and I try to tether there, but I actually panicked because I didn't realize that there were Acolyte snipers during this phase as well, which is why that second tether kind of goes nowhere. So at this point, I know that the most likely things to kill me are the Acolyte sniper is number 1, and the wizard is number 2, and the thrall is number 3. At this point, I just want to get into a position that I can shoot the Acolyte sniper, which I get into, perfect, and then it's just dealing with all the other thrall and then getting the wizard at the end. Now once all of these enemies die, the boss becomes unimmune and goes back to shooting you. This means that you could leave a Thrall for last, but it's a lot easier to leave the giant stationary wizard who barely moves than a psychopathic 4-foot tall alien that runs around you like Alakul.
There, I'm just choosing to shoot Arbalest at him, because I do see that green brick, and I know that I'm probably going to be using a lot of my heavy on the Unstoppables and Arc Knights. I actually decided to go grab the ammo here. Alright, Wizard's dead, which means Boss's shield is down. She immediately does a green thing, which I'm not a huge fan of. Now, boss reach 50. Once the boss reaches 50% health here, we get another 2 Boomer Knights and then 4 Acolytes. And these 4 Acolytes actually spawn from this door to our left. You can kind of see that I'm kind of keeping an eye on it, just in case it spawns and it doesn't give me the audio cue. But the moment that I see them spawn, I'm going to throw a grenade. Right. So I actually killed all but one, which is fine. It's still a really, really good position to be in. But now I've just got to try to find myself an angle to kill the Acolyte that doesn't involve the 2 Knights, because the 2 Knights I could pretty easily kill with a Tarantula shot. Here I get really good. I hug up against the wall because I saw that the Knight was looking at about a 45-degree angle to where I was, and so I knew that that was going to be a really safe spot to kill the Knight from. Here, I do what I did for the first 2 sets. I hug this specific pillar. Easy Knight kill. And now you can see that this Knight actually decided to go into the exact same position, but I'm going to kill it from spawn because I think the boss knew where I was there. Alright, easy. That's the only spawn for this phase. So now I'm going to damage her and try to get her to 30% or 40% health to get the unstops. I think it's 40%, right? Yeah, it should be 40%. Boss is just being a bit weird here, but this part's pretty trivial. So I throw the grenade there to kill the 2 Acolytes that spawn out of that door. And now here, I should have let the Ogre move a little bit more, because it put his position in just a horrible spot, so I couldn't get any damage on it. Now it's just going invis and stunning the ogres, and then I'm going to be shooting as many of the other enemies as possible. So there, I shoot an ogre, and then I kill some cursed thrall. And basically you just get into the same repetition of, okay, let's stun the ogres, and what should we kill? Alright, I don't see anything behind me. Stun. But I actually start to move, and that's just because I've had so many issues with enemies teleporting. Right, that's a pretty good grenade, which killed 6 cursed thrall. Which means, and we've already killed 1, so there's the 8th one to die. Which means there's no more cursed thrall on the map. It's just the unstoppable ogres because all the acolytes are dead too. At this point, stun an ogre, stun the other ogre, shoot one in the head a bunch, repeat. Now, a good thing is the boss is pretty easy to just constantly get your smoke back from, because she just kind of stands still. And now I'm able to use this ogre to get the last champion kill of the strike, and I get a finish for some heavy. Now at this point, I try to go for a bake, but I mess it up. So here I'm trying to play a bit aggressive to try to get her to die. I hear the ad spawn, which is why I fail this tether, and I see the way she's moving, so I started hitting A and S on my keyboard, which kind of brought me just into a horrible position. And I ended up just absolutely wasting that tether. So here, I'm basically just want to see, okay, there's the boss, where are the enemies? And then you just kind of get into the same repetition over and over again. Okay, the boss is there. There's 3 acolytes there. I bet you I can kill one. Alright. Alright, now Hashladoon is looking that way. So I'm going to go across. I'm going to dodge next to this acolyte. Oh boy, these 2 acolytes look real good. And then this knight starts pushing. Like, oh, I could probably get this knight. But then I smoke and the wizard becomes active. It becomes a bit of a mess. But oh, what's here? It's the pillar that we use. Alright, this knight I think is going to be a free kill. And I thought that arc shield break would actually kill it, but boy was I mistaken. So I commit to that, which was probably the scariest part that I had this entire boss fight, other than the thrall teleporting. And then there's this one. I played very aggressive on this knight, which I don't recommend you do it. But it's pretty interesting. And that's the last acolyte. So now I'm thinking that the only thing alive is the boss. Alright, now this is where I get my traditional crackhead idea of meleeing the boss to death. You can actually see in the bottom left there that I tried to melee, but doing light blades earlier I actually changed my keybind so I didn't have an uncharged melee. So I obviously go into my keybinds here to add an uncharged melee keybind. And now I'm basically just going to be swapping sides, reloading my Nation of Beasts and getting a few headshots in until she's completely one-shot. Now obviously I could just shoot her with an Arbalist here, but I decide not to be a bit of a weirdo. Now this is basically wrapping up the end of this video. I'm gonna dodge, go for a minute here. But I've noticed in the last 2 or 3 seasons, a lot more people have been doing solo GMs or getting into them. If you are interested, I highly recommend you start out with one like Scarlet Keep. It seems very daunting, but this is probably one of the easiest GMs in the game. I do hope everyone enjoyed this. Please have a great day or night wherever you are. And my loadout, again, Arbless Nation Beast Tarantula with 6 Coyote.